Hello and welcome to the 19th video in this series. In the last video, we talked about the data type, the data structures that come predefined with R, and we tried out empty cars, and we saw a whole lot of information about cars from 19 something. We checked the information and all of that. So in this video, we're going to see how you can use statistics on this data set to check for minimum, maximum, to even ask questions, to return some key values and all of this. So as you can think about it, you said R is made by statisticians, so that means it comes packed with statistics. So for example, let me print out data. So this is our data, giving us a couple of things, and we can see all of this in our data. So within our data set, let's say we are checking for horsepower, HP, so I can return all the horsepower for us based on data. So we want to see the minimum horsepower and the maximum horsepower, as you can just imagine. So um, I'll give this a variable of horsepower so that I can reuse that particular variable. So my minimum horse power, you can see it returned as 52. Then my max horsepower, 335. So we now see values coming up telling us things about horsepower, but then they are not as descriptive as we expect them to be, because we need to know probably the cars that have these horsepowers, and we can come to a conclusion that based on what we have seen, there is higher horsepower. Maserati has a higher horsepower than Honda or Ferrari, all of these things. So let's try to answer those questions. The question is, determine the cars with the maximum and minimum horsepower. So this is the question I want to answer. Now we're done with most of these things. We just want to start using data set. So let's answer that. So instead of looking through the data set, imagine we have millions of observations and thousands of features, or thousands of variables, or thousands of columns. It's difficult for you to look into it. So you can allow R to take a look at it for you. So we have this function that comes with R as well, the which. So we can ask a question with it. So if you go ahead and say which max, for example, for horsepower, it will still give us about the same. Now it's not returning the value, is returning the index, please. We need to know the difference in all of these functions that we are seeing. Perfect. So if I say just minimum and maximum, it returns values to me. Now I'm asking a question: which horsepower is maximum and which horsepower is minimum? And now it's giving me their indexes. So the car in index 31 has maximum horsepower, while the car on index 19 has the minimum. That's what it's saying at the end of the day. You can see these are different. These are the actual horsepowers: 52 HP, 335 HP, and now index this, index that. Hope it makes a lot of sense to us. But let's dig it further so that it returns the name of the car based on the index. Remember in one of the videos, to talk about row names, how you can use the row names to get that. So you can go ahead and call the row names, and row names on what data. The variable is data. What does this return to us? It returns all the rows based on their indexes. So the question is, can we pass the which and the max method to it to get something out of it? So let's try it out and see what we get. It's more like you're writing a new statement. So in these row names, I want to look for, I'll just copy this code and reuse it. Which particular car has the maximum horsepower? And same thing for this. I want to look for which particular car has the minimum. You get a point now. So let's run this. And so you can see this. This is beautiful. This is straightforward. This makes a whole lot of sense, and that's why R is quite powerful for statistics and data science things, because now I don't have to write some extra function, call some extra classes. I just call the row names, which return the entire rows. I passed the data set to it. I asked the question. I pass my criteria to it, and based on the data set, it was able to filter and return to me. It's telling me that Maserati has the maximum horsepower, while Honda Civic has the minimum. No offense to people that are using Honda Civic. So let's move on. Maximum. This caught my eyes. Let's move on. So using the same variable horsepower, let's just check the mean horsepower. As easy as this is, it doesn't take anything more than this. It just return the mean for you. You don't have to do nothing extra. Just call the mean method. You can imagine how it will be for median and how it will be for mode. As you can just imagine or guess, for median, R has a function for median, and it takes uh, the median horsepower to try this out. You can see it returned that. You can guess what the next one will be. Just call it mode. So for the mode is not something that is so direct, but we try and figure out how you can get it done. There's always a way around it. So let's say we want to look for the mode of maybe the weight. Let's quickly have this. The weight should be data, and we're looking for WT. So this returns the weight of the whole guys for us, data WT. So let's look for the weight. Let's print it out. So you can see we have a collection of weights here where we have a few numbers. I can already see numbers appearing twice: 3.44, 3.44, 3.44. But we need to calculate the modal number from it, the modal value rather. So if we want to calculate the modal value, let's look at it this way. We want this to be on maybe this first index this way. Then we want to sort. Um, we want to sort based on table. Want to sort the table based on weight. So we expect this to return. Can you see this? This returned 3.44 to us. That means the modal value is 3.44. So just for um, output purpose, we could say maybe paste or cat or something. Um, mode is comma that, so this should come up. So the mode is 3.44. As easy as that. So just looking for the mode, you need to do a little bit of call the names, you sort it as a table and pass the column where we are looking for the modal value for. So it's as easy as it looks. So the last thing we want to check, and this might be our second to the last video. I'm already excited about this. Percentiles. Percentiles. Very, very important. So what are percentiles? So percentiles are used most of the time to describe a number or a value that the given values are kind of lower than. Like I said, this video is not for statistics, it's just using R as a statistic. So I'll just get a definition for percentile and paste it so you can always come back to the video to read it out. So again, this percentiles just is a method, or not really a method. We use them. It's a technique in statistics that describe the value that a given percent or of the values are lower than. So you have them either, and they call them the quartile, the 25th percentile, 50th percentile, 75th percentile, or you have your first quartile and your mean, your mode, and your third quartile. And the difference between these quartiles are what gives us the interquartile range, IQR, which we use most of the time to determine an outlier in a data set. So let's get to it. So to calculate percentile in R is quite easy. We need to call um, quantile. So quantile on, let's call quantile on weights that we had, and we want to set the quantile value. Which of the quantile do you want to check? Is it 25th, 75th quantile? So we'll pass that as an atomic of, let's say we want to check for this, maybe the 75th percentile, 0.75 on that particular weight. So it returns a 3.61 to us. Like we say, it gives us a number that describe the, we have the 75th percentile, every other thing falls below that. So what if we run the quantile on that particular data without a given direction or a number? Maybe I take out this 75th. What does it return? It should return a list. So these are 0%, 25th percent, 50th percent, which is always the middle, 75th percent, and 100%. So most of the time, um, 75th minus 25th gives us where the data activity is actually happening. So you just need to visit statistics and understand what percentiles are from statistics perspective, but this is how to apply them in R. So looking at it in another light, just say quantiles as, just think about it as quartiles. That's dividing something into four places, and starting from 0 to 25 to 50 to 75 and 200. So just look at it that way if you're still finding it's hard to understand what percentiles are. So this brings us to the end of our statistics. So if you have followed this video to this time, I want you to take your time off, get somewhere, sit down, um, clap for yourself, congratulate yourself. You have actually scaled through most of the core insight or most of the core functionalities or most of the core concepts in R. There are 1,001 people that have not gotten to the stage that you have gotten to. So you have actually made progress. We'll keep progressing in these videos as from this time on. We'll pick projects, try to look at examples and how we can approach it, try to look at business rule, understanding this and how you can approach it with R. Again, I'm teaching you R and how to apply. I'm not teaching you a full data analysis or data science approach. That is a totally different thing on its own. But trust me, if you understand this video to some level, next time you visit R, it will be much more clearer to you. So thank you for staying tuned throughout this whole video process. By the time we get to the 20th video, then we'll throw out project out there and have you work on it. See you in the next videos. Bye for now.